Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk about something that I feel is really important, especially when it comes to moms and daughters. And you could tell how healthy a family has been if you look at the relationships between the children and the family. I was raised mom and dad. My parents were married until I was about 12 years old. And then we lived with my mom. My dad lived with my grandmother, and we saw him. I think we saw him every Saturday or something to go to dinner. And then we go on trips once in a while. But I want to talk about the dynamics in my home, which really affected the relationships I had with my own sisters. My mom and I were not particularly close. Um, it was not a maternal situation. I was able to get the love and compassion and empathy, etc., from women outside of our home, which was my grandmothers, my teachers, my friends' moms, etc. And in my own home, my mom was the type of person where she was very nosy. She'd always look out the window to see what was going on in the neighborhood, not just as a a block captain, really kind of just sticking her nose in. And always, instead of her coming to me saying, "Hey, I'm concerned about you, I'm worried," she would come to me and talk to me about my sisters and what's going on with them. And so always causing a rift or causing a dissension in the family. Always gossiping, saying very negative things about people. And I think it had a lot to do with jealousy, because anything good that happened for other people, especially when it came to money, um, my dad's brother and his wife took care of my grandmother in the last years of her life, my paternal grandmother. And my mom would always bring up, "Well, your grandma gave them $5,000 for a house and they never paid her back," or she'd talk about my paternal grandparents, about how much money they had. They really didn't have that much. Anyone else in the family that had to do with money, it was always, "Well, she would talk about your aunt and uncle inherited money from a woman at church." And then if someone had more than her, there was always a tearing down, gossip, negativity. It always was unnecessary drama and chaos. So I think because of that, it caused me to have fractured relationships with women. I was always, I was always, I always had a hard time forming relationships with other women. I had close friends in school, etc., but outside of that, I always had trouble trusting women. Um, and I was always the subject of bullying, of people, being a source of betrayal with other women. Even in high school, I had a best friend, a couple of girls I hung out with. And then I also started dating this guy. Well, come to find out, when I was, I think, a senior in high school, my best friends had been a year older than I, so they were out of high school. And come to find out, the guy was dating him, and one of my best friends ended up hooking up and had a relationship and eventually got married. So there was a lot of betrayal with women in my life. I do have, and I'm not saying completely, because I have amazing relationships with certain women today. But I think because of what happened in my family, it truly did affect me. But most important, because of the actions of my mom, I had fractured relationships with my sisters, and it is fractured today. Um, so I just want to say that it's really imperative as a mom. I think it's imperative we watch our P's and Q's around our kids. Don't get involved in too much trauma cast. And most important, pay attention to how we speak around our children, to speak about other people. Um, because my neighbor across the street, Mrs. Mike, who was a gem, I truly believe her daughters have good relationships with each other, but that's because she fostered good relationships with them. And I think they're all very close today. So I just want to say I think it's really important. It's just something that came to light recently. And so it takes me a little bit longer to form friendships. And the friendships I have been lifelong friendships with other women who have been kind, trustworthy, have never disrespected me, have always treated me kindly, empathetic, with compassion. So for that, I am grateful. And so if you're a friend of mine, I am thrilled that you have allowed me to earn just to build trust with other people and other women and know that there are women out there who are fantastic and kind. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'll be back.